Yeah, Sairam, Sister Manga. Hi, Sairam. Yeah, your story from brother about Swami comes to see our soul. That reminded me, uh, it was in '96 after the birthday celebration. I had worked in the part of the medical camp, overseas medical camp. We were seated in Kulwant Hall for Pad Namaskar. I happened to be in the front of that particular line. And then when Swami was coming closer, all of a sudden we had to shuffle, ended up being the last person on the row. And I was really had my hopes high that, I would get the Pad Namaskar, but it didn't happen. But at least Swami made a remark, where is that man from New York? So that made me whole, that, at least I don't need I had Sambhashan, I didn't have this person, but I had darshan and Sambhashan, so that was good. Anyway, on this topic of, Dvaita, Visishta Dvaita, Jesus started out saying, I'm, servant of God, right? Then he started saying, I'm a son of God. And then the final stage of the Advaita, I and my Father are one. Same way with Prophet Muhammad, I think Swami talks about that also, that illustration that, first he started saying, I'm in the light is in me, and then eventually, by the stage, I am the light. So, all these things are there, and then Brother Pradosh talked about Kasturi he as part of his progress, he was translating, he was standing right next to Swami, right? But he wanted for 3 days he was obsessed about getting a mantra from Swami. So then so I watched him. Finally, he said, "Why do you want a mantra?" I said, "I want to get close to you, Swami." I said, how much closer you think you're going to be? He made that remark because he was already next to him. So it's part of the progress. Again, reminding his state of awareness of the unity, the oneness, and all that. So. And then Brother Soham talked about, yeah, it's a process. Of course, we are still in the. At least I am on this earth. You have to go through the stages. You most of the time you're calm and collected and obliging and acknowledging and all that. Things sometimes falls apart. For example, yesterday, I have returned the file of this client 3 years ago. He keeps calling me. Every 2 weeks, 3 weeks or so. So yesterday morning, again, he called me and said, so I got a little, to be assertive or I don't know, upset. I think I lost my cool. Says, why, he asked me the same question as, when will be, what happens, how do I continue the case? The case is denied. Will I be detained if I go to court, etc. Same thing we already talked about several times. But I had to be assertive this time, saying, saying, I've got a little raised the voice, saying, please, don't bother me with the same question, find you a new lawyer and take care of it. Things like that happens. What can you do? Later on, I was reflecting, maybe I shouldn't have done that. At the same time, I kind of, inner prompting with Antaryami Swami is there. I had to be assertive, so hopefully he won't be calling me for that reason. He will be calling me for something else. He lives in the neighborhood. I knew his father, so that's why I took the case. And then about 9 years ago, the case was temporarily closed. I gave back the file. So, but the father passed away. I still feel for the guy. Things like that happens. Then, of course, self-reflection. Your conscience comes back to bite you. At least in my case. Where, did I do the right thing? How can I prevent this from happening next time? So on and so forth. So it's a fascinating topic. I mean, and also, you know, so Swami or energy in this and everything. I think you heard the story of weeping saris, right? I think.
Yes.
So like that, yeah, you can connect to anything. The same thing with speaking of the dogs. It's very very lovely family dog. My grandson has one now. So that story about the twin dogs Swami had. The Jack and Jill, and then how he has built the samadhi for them. I think one of the dog was run over by the Maharaja's car. Like that. I mean, again, I mean, we are all evolving, from plant, mineral, animal, man, and then divine. So it's just the process. I think, at least in my case, that's the way I look at it. Each day, if I'm a little bit better than what I was yesterday, that's what I'm hoping for. So, Sairam.
Thank you.